Hi, today I'm going to be going over my leadership assessment after taking the test. So to start, just a little introduction. My name is Colleen Corcoran and I'm a sophomore here at Arizona State University. I'm currently majoring in communications and minoring in fashion. I'm originally from Peoria, Arizona, but moved to Tempe to go to school here. So now moving on to the results of my leadership style assessment, I found out that I'm a transformative leader. Basically, a transformative leader's goal is to create a dynamic, engaging, and open environment for their group members. They strive to make members feel inspired and motivated to work towards a shared common goal, while also pushing them to grow personally as human beings. They're basically trying to foster a culture and environment of innovation, growth, and positive change for each of their group members, and attempting to uplift both the individuals and organization at the same time. I would say that I do agree with this assessment. I definitely do place an emphasis on other people's opinions. I've always been a people pleaser and love to hear from others to try and make them as happy as possible when making decisions. I definitely try to ensure that everyone feels seen, heard, and important within an organization or group. And while I do love leadership roles, I also highly value collaboration, vision setting, and the overall impact in a long-term sense, setting those long-term goals. Rather than looking just at the short term, I like to look at the bigger picture. I naturally strive to empower and inspire others and to keep them motivated in a group that's value-oriented. However, I do slightly disagree with this assessment because I also love a sense of structure in an organization. I like something that's built with a strong foundation and has those rules that we follow in order to achieve our goals. I sometimes rely more on strategy, kind of in a sense of a transactional leader. However, I think this showed me more than anything that I kind of pull from a few different areas of leadership and I'm not just mainly one. So now moving on to the book correlation. I related it to a leader-member exchange, which is in a relationship that involves support, trust, and open communication throughout the organization. So basically, the leader is going to consult with group members in decision-making and focus on working collectively as a team. They go beyond just work issues or the organizational issues to include a more personalized approach that makes sure that members feel seen, valued, and heard. Basically, we want to make sure that they feel that they are playing a valuable part in this organization and that their membership or that their work does not go unnoticed and that they feel extremely valued and like they're needed, essentially. So as a transformative leader, I focus on building high-quality leader-member exchange relationships. This includes things like giving individualized attention and encouragement. An example of this would be in my sorority where I act as the VP of Finance and Housing. I conduct regular check-ins on members of my sorority. I have to collect dues, and if I notice someone necessarily isn't paying on time or maybe didn't sign an agreement that they were supposed to, I'll either text or email them to reach out and just see what's going on. See if they need anything from me, if there's anything I can do to help. Maybe they have some family issue, financial issue, etc. And just making sure that I'm there as a shoulder to lean on and that they can talk to me openly and confidently to make sure that they are heard and that they know I value them and I value whatever's going on in their life, not just getting the money for my sorority. Another example of this is promoting open, upward, and downward communication. It's very important for me to communicate not only with my exec board and higher-ups, such as advisors and the president, but also to communicate with members at large and make sure that even though technically I do hold a position higher up and above them, they still feel valued and heard and like their feedback is definitely taken into consideration and not just in one ear, out the other. I also encourage feedback and shared decision-making. An example of this is annual surveys we conduct to get feedback about finance and housing. I send these out to members at large for my sorority. We actually just sent one out about housing that we send out every semester to ask girls what are they seeing that's wrong with the house, what do they love about the house, what do they think needs to be improved, and so on. And these basically just help us get feedback from members directly and ensure that we understand how they're feeling and we can kind of get in their headspace to see what they want to see done in the organization and what they want to see change or remain the same in order to not only grow as an organization but also help them grow personally because they're seeing these changes enacted. So now moving on to some barriers you may see in transformative leadership, starting off with the risk of burnout. So this is from constant emotional investment and commitment, obviously placing such a strong burden on members to be fully invested in the organization and constantly asking for things from them, they might burn out quicker because they're so heavily involved. May also create a dependency on the leader's energy, which could have negative effects if someone's relying too much on the leader to keep them motivated and happy. If the leader might be struggling a little and has a little bit of a downfall, the organization will fall in turn. A few other barriers include overemphasis on the vision and feelings rather than the structure and actual goal accomplishment. You may have follower dependence and a resistance to change. And finally, a lack of focus on short-term goals due to an emphasis on long-term growth. However, these barriers can definitely be solved by balancing inspiration with a sense of structure and delegation, kind of fusing different forms of leadership in order to create a strong, successful organization. Finally, wrapping it up, while being a transformative leader can help empower others and drive meaningful change, it can also have barriers that are very important to notice, because if you notice them, you can actually avoid them and manage them in the process. This whole lesson has kind of shown me that I can continue to build strong communication channels and lead with a sense of transparency and authenticity. Learning what type of leader I am not only shows me what I do as a leader and who I am as a leader, but can help me grow as a leader and notice potential flaws I may have, or learn from what that leadership style means and how to utilize it to my advantage. I've also learned that leadership is all about the impact you're making on the world around you, not just the title that you hold. And I'm looking forward to continuing to grow as a leader and communicator. So that's all for me today. I want to thank you all so much for your time and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.